So hello my dear students and learners. So today we are going to discuss a very important topic that is called variables in C language. Now in my previous video we have discussed about the constants used in C language. Now constant means whose value was remain unchanged, unaltered during the program execution. That means whose value was fixed. Now today we are going to discuss exactly opposite to that. Okay, and that is called variable. Now in computer memory, the data is stored in various places in primary memory. So when the data are getting stored, they are stored in different locations, and all these locations has its own unique address. Now it is very difficult for a programmer to use these addresses, to access these addresses. For that reason, to access these addresses, the programmer actually use the symbolic name which is associated with these addresses, so that the programmer can access the values stored in that particular addresses or can fetch the values from these addresses using these symbolic names, and these symbolic names are called variables. Now from the name you can understand that variable means which is able to vary. That means its value will vary during the execution of the program. That means it will not remain fixed. It will vary as and when it will be required. Okay, now whenever we have to declare some variables in C language, then there are certain rules which we will have to follow for naming the variables actually. Now what are the rules? Number one, the variable names can only start with an alphabet. It may be in lowercase letter or uppercase letter, or it can start with an underscore symbol. For example, a variable can start with like that, small a, then small d, or it can start with underscore a dd. So all these are valid variable names. After starting with a variable with a small letter, or even it can start with a capital letter like that. Okay, so then the remaining digits can be any other alphabet. For example, lowercase letter or uppercase letters, or even it can contain also the digits. So after that you can write 1 1 1 1, then again a capital letter. So all of them are the valid variable names. Okay, but a variable name cannot contain any other symbol, any other special symbol apart from this underscore. So the only special symbol that can be used inside a variable name is the underscore. That means, so all these variable names are absolutely perfect. Okay, now if you are writing a variable names like that, underscore sum, since it is starting with an underscore symbol, so it is not a valid variable name. Similarly, the variable name can never start with a digit. So here the name variable name is starting with the digits 1, so it is not allowed, so it is not a valid variable name. Not only that, whenever you are using a variable name, declaring a variable, the variable cannot contain any blank space. For example, I am writing a variable name add, then digits. So it is a valid variable name, but there is a space. So this is the space between add and digits. So this is not allowed. Similarly, a variable name cannot even start with any other symbol apart from this underscore. Okay, so space is not also allowed. So but if you write add digits, just removing the blank space between these two words add and digits, then it will become a valid variable name. Okay, now you cannot use any keywords or reserve words. Okay, so keywords and reserve words, keywords or reserve words. So in C language, actually there are 32 keywords available. So these 32 keywords or reserved words, those words have already been reserved by the system, cannot be used as a variable name. For example, if, then else, then do, while, for. So there are 32 keywords are there. So none of these keywords can be used as a variable name. Okay, so this is another rule. Number 4, whenever you are declaring a variable, so variable name must not be more than 31 characters. So it must be less than 31 characters. Okay, it cannot be more than 31 characters. Less than equals to 31 characters. Okay, now in some of the C compilers, they actually do not accept more than 8 characters. So it is a very good practice while writing a variable name, use less than 8 characters so that your program can successfully compile in any type of compiler. It will also be very useful to write and use it, because we have to invest some little amount of time to write this variable. If we write it a big variable name, then it will take much more time and it will also be very much inconvenient to write and read. Okay, so it is a very good practice to write the name of the variables using only 8 characters, less than or equals to 8 characters. Okay, now number 5, the lowercase and uppercase letters will be treated differently. So these two variable names, for example sum sum and sum sum, these two variables are totally different, because here all the letters or characters has been written in small letter, and here all the characters or letters has been written in capital letter. So since C is a case sensitive language, so these two variable names are absolutely different. Okay, now next one is, whenever you are declaring any type of variable, you have to declare that variable with a specific data type. Okay, so for example, if I want to declare a sum variable, and if we want to store integer number, that means whole number that we have discussed in the previous lectures video, so you have to declare the sum variable like that. So what I have written, int sum semicolon. That means here I have declared a variable sum whose data type is integer. That means it can only contain a whole number. Okay, so whenever you are going to use any variable, suppose you are going to use this variable sum in your program, so before that you have to declare that variable. Okay, otherwise there will be a compilation error. So this data type is must. We'll have a very separate video regarding this data type of variable. So for the time being, you please try to understand that this is the declaration. So I am making a command line. So this is declaration of sum variable. So this is the declaration of sum variable. Okay. So these are the different rules that we have to follow when we have to write the name of a variable. Okay. Now with the help of this concept, now I am going to write a very simple C program which will declare 3 different variables. Okay, and we will assign 2 values to first 2 variables, and then we will add these 2 values and we will store in the third variable, and then we will print it. So the program that I am going to write is addition of 2 numbers. So I am making a command line that addition of 2 integer numbers. Now this is the command line we have already discussed, because this is a single line command I am using. Okay, so this line will not be compiled by the C compiler. We have written it in English sentence. This is for documentation purpose. So whenever any programmer is going through this program, so after going through this line, the programmer, that is he or she, will have an understanding that this is the program that is adding 2 integer numbers. Okay, so look at the board. First we have to include the header file. Hash include stdio.h. You know that this is the inclusion of the header file stdio.h. It is a standard input output header file. We are going to use printf function. This function declaration has been written in this header file, so that's why you are including we are taking the permission from the compiler that we are going to call this system defined function. That's why it is very much required. Now next we are defining the main function. So void main. Now here the main function, this is the return type of the main function, void. That means main function will not return anything. So void means nothing, it will not return anything. Now what we are going to do? So here what we are doing, we are including header file. We are including header file stdio.h. In this line, what we are doing? Defining main function. Okay, now what you have to do? We have to first declare three variables. So suppose the name of the variables are a, b and c. So the data types of the variable are integer. Why? Because we want to add two integer numbers. So if we want to add two integer numbers, then after addition the resultant value, addition value will also be integer. So that's why three integer variable you needs to declare. So that's why I have declared it as integer variable. That means int a, b, c. Whenever you are declaring more than one variable, the variable needs to be separated by comma and terminated by semicolon. So here what I am doing? Declaring three variables. Declaring three variables. Next, I am assigning the value 5 to the variable a and value 7 to the variable b, directly assigning. So this equals to is called assignment operator. Okay, so 5 and 7 are being assigned to the variables a and b respectively. Then in variable c, what I am writing? A plus b. So the addition of 5 and 7, that is 12, will get stored in the variable c. So we have done the addition. Now we are going to print the addition value. So we have to call, you know that if you want to print anything, then you have to call the printf function, and this printf function is a system defined function, so we are going to call it. That's why we have included actually this header file in our program. So in this header file the printf function has been declared. Okay, so we are calling the printf function. So printf new line. So you know I have told you that new line character. So this character will just place the cursor on the next line. So it is a very good practice whenever you are calling the printf function to use a new line character, so that your output will be printed on the very next line. Okay, so what I am writing? Printf addition of %d and %d is equals to %d, and then I am writing a comma b comma c. Now try to understand what I have written. So, and that is the end of the main function. Now addition of %d and %d is equals to %d. So what is %d? Here %d is called the format specifier of integer data type. So in C language, for each and every data type a particular format specifier is there. So for integer the format specifier is %d. If you are using a character, the format specifier will be %c. If you are using a float value, then format specifier will be %f. If you are using a string, then format specifier will be %. We will make a separate video for that. So for the time being, you try to know that if you have to print the value of an integer variable, then you have to use the format specifier %d. So when this program will be executed, what will be the output? Your output will be, it will print this line. So apart from new line character, each and everything will be printed. So what will be the output? Output will be addition of %d and %d. So in place of %d, what will be printed? the variable that you have mentioned. So the order in which you have mentioned the variable, the same order, it will follow the same order to print the value. So in place of first %d, the first variable, that is a, its value will be printed. So what is the value of a? It is 5. So addition of 5, then and second %d, in place of second %d, what will be printed? The second variable that you have mentioned. So second variable is b and its value is 7. So it will print 7. So addition of 5 and 7 then equals to last %d. So in place of last %d, the last variable value, that is c's value, will be printed. And what is the value of c? 5 plus 7, that is 12. So it will print 12. Okay. So that will be the output on your screen. So you look at the format specifier that I have used. So here you have to maintain the order of the variables very cautiously. If you do any kind of mistakes in the order of the mentioning of the variable, then you will have erroneous output. Okay, so what is format specifier? Format specifier actually a way through which the data for a particular data type will be printed. So we'll discuss in detail later on. So this is the line, addition of 5 and 7 will be is equals to 12, that will get printed on your output screen. So that will be the output. So my students, I hope that you have understood the concept of the variable, how to declare in variable, and what are the rules and regulations we have to follow whenever we are going to use the variable, why do we need to use the variable, and after that I have discussed with you a very simple C program which is adding to integer numbers. So how to write the program, how to declare the variable, and how to print the statement. So I hope you have understood the concept. Even after, if you have any kind of suggestion, any kind of doubt, any kind of queries, you please feel free to post your query on the comment box. I'll definitely try to answer on that. Okay, so thanks for watching. Please take care. Have a nice day. Thank you.